y'all, we're gonna jump right in today. I will be starting off with this dehydrator here from Model Ones, and I'm placing this all over my natural nails. If you don't have dehydrator, you can use 90% alcohol if you already have it in your house, not the type you drink, the type for first aid. At least that's where it's found in Walmart. Whichever product you use, you just want to make sure your natural nails look dry, just like this. Kind of matte too. Next, I'm going to be taking primer. This one also is from Model Ones. It came in a set with a dehydrator. This, however, you don't want to skip because primer helps with the adhesion of everything so that your Gel X nails actually last. Once we apply this, we are going to let it dry down for about 10 seconds so it gets nice and sticky, and then go in with the gel glue. This will be the exact same gel glue I'm going to be using to apply my extensions. I'm going to place a thin layer of this on my natural nails and then cure in my new lamp that was gifted to me by MelodySusie. I'm going to hit the 60-second time setting, and once I place my hand in, you'll notice the light turns on. And then once it's done, we're going to move it to the side of my desk so I can continue on prepping the gel extensions. To do this, I will be using Opre's Gel X Prep. However, the extensions I'm using are from McCart's. I will link them down below, but they're always out of stock, but I really do love these, so whatever's going on with the distribution system, I hope they bring these back. I'll link them anyway, just in case they pop in stock one day while you're shopping on Amazon, and you can pick them up as well. But basically, I wanted to show you that the Opre Gel X Prep does not only have to be used on Opre tips, it can work on other soft gel extensions as well, at least the ones I've tried so far. So I'm taking this product and just moving it from side to side, up and down, creating some etching on the bottom half so that the extensions have something to grip onto and they last longer. Now I'm going to take that same gel glue we just used earlier and place it on the bottom half of the extension so we can get these on. What I'm doing is taking my brush, placing a little bit of glue right at the bottom of the extension. Then I'm going to line the extension up with my cuticle area and press down gently until the glue flows to the tip of my natural nail. And as soon as it hits the tip, I'm going to move my hand in my flash curing lamp, and I'm just going to sit here for about 20 seconds. So I do recommend, if you're going to be doing gel extensions, that you use a lamp that is touch activated or motion censored. It's hard to find one that's motion censored actually, but this one is touch activated. So once I hit the little silver rib, it turns on. It's also really sensitive, so I can barely tap it and it pops right on, which is great. It's also rechargeable. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish applying the extensions to the rest of my fingers. As I'm applying the extensions, I thought I would answer a question that I've been seeing a lot in the comments, which is how long do gel extensions last? So for me personally, I can get them to last about 5 weeks. This, however, is going to be dependent upon a couple of things. So how you apply them, if the extensions fit you appropriately, also how you prep. So how you prep your natural nails. Do you leave dead skin on the nail plate or do you take it completely off? And how you prep the bottom half of the extension, for example. Even though those things are key, and I do my best to explain them step by step so you can follow at home, another factor is the products you use. Not all products are created equally, and I do my best to give you a range of things I found works best for me. However, there are popular products that do not work well for me either. So when I'm showing you products, I try to be objective as possible so that you can decide for yourself if they'll work for you or not. But I hope that helps. So once I have the extensions on it in place, I'm going to do a full cure in a bigger lamp for 60 seconds. Next, I'm going to grab my file and gently go around the edges so that I can get rid of the little tip that sits at the top of the extensions always. These extensions don't need a lot of filing, so it's really just a couple of seconds doing this. So here's what everything looks like, and now I'm going to take my e-file and seal my cuticles. I decided to pull out my e-file because the last few videos have been no drill needed tutorials, and I just missed my e-file. So I decided to use my mini sanding band this time and go gently from left to right, and my e-file is only at 1000 RPM. And then since I was already here, I decided to keep going and remove the shine from the extensions so that I don't have to use a base coat later. And as you can imagine, using the e-file, I kicked up a bunch of dust, so I am going to grab this little scrubby brush here, and there's no product on it. It's just basically a dry brush, and I'm getting all of the dust particles out the way because I like to put lotion on before I film because I don't want to be on camera ashy, so the dust does stick, and this just helps it get off my fingers much easier. So in addition to using my e-file, I am going to take some acetone and do the acetone trick that is talked about a lot around social media. And if you're not on other platforms, basically what the acetone trick is taking a little bit of acetone and placing it at the base of the extension so that it blends in with your natural nail, because the acetone causes the extension to melt just a little bit. So what I'm doing is taking a little bit of acetone, and I'm just going to take a brush and move back and forth in scrubbing like motions. Okay, so now the extensions are on, they're prepped, they're ready to go. It is time to do the nail art. So since you guys loved the glass nail tutorial that we did 2 videos ago, I decided to give you another way on how to play upon what we learned in the last video. So we're going to be doing a glass nail French tip. So to get started, I am going to be taking this color here as my base, and this is Cashmere by D&D, and this one has a slightly brown undertone to it. So this isn't a surprise to y'all if you're not new here. I love base colors that have a brown undertone to them. I think they look amazing on my skin tone. So I'm going to be applying just a thin layer of this because this is from D&D's sheer collection, which has a great formula. And then once I'm done, I am going to take a flat brush dipped in alcohol and clean up around my cuticle area before curing in my lamp. And then Born Pretty did send over some more of their jelly polishes. So there are 6 in this particular collection. And out of these 6, we're going to be using 2 of them throughout the video, but we're going to grab this one here first. And I'm going to be layering this color on top of the base color we laid down already. It is very peachy, and so I thought it'd be great to layer on top so I can get me a really good peachy nude. I decided to go in with one more coat so that I can hide the natural nail a little bit more. I'm going to be taking this black gel polish here, and I'm going to be using this to draw my French tips. This polish here is a true definition of 1 coat coverage. I also use the white version of this, but to do my French tips today, I am going to start by drawing a V. So basically 1 diagonal line on the left side and then another on the right. And then I'm just going to take my thin liner brush and go from side to side until I get my smile line exactly where I want it. To do this, I recommend using a really thin and long bristled liner brush because it makes it easier and it does a lot of the work for you. But once I have my outline done, I'm going to fill in the gaps so that my French tip is complete. So I'm going to do this for my middle finger, but I am going to skip my ring finger because that is where we're going to be adding some rhinestones. So I'm going to basically be placing a French tip on every finger except the ring finger. So I completely forgot that I wanted to put rhinestones on the ring finger when I was actually sitting down and doing the nails. So I'm going to go back in with this black polish here that we used for the French tips and place that all over my ring finger. So here what the French tips look like at this point, I'm going to turn my hand to the side so you can see how I drag the line of the French tip slightly towards the base of my nail because I wanted these to be dramatic because these are actually my Halloween nails. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and pop these into the lamp. Now I'm going to take this cat eye polish here from Show Me Korea, and in our last video we did use a cat eye polish from the same collection but a different color. If you want to see that, you can check it out here. But I'm going to be taking this and placing it on top of the black polish. Now, originally I started off by taking a thin liner brush and just placing it on top of the black polish so I can keep my French tip line nice and clean. However, when you use a thin liner brush, the cat eye can actually become streaky, and that's not what we want. So I recommend just going in with the brush from the polish bottle and placing it directly onto the black parts of the nail. And if it so happens to get outside of the lines and onto the neutral part of the nails, it's a very easy cleanup, and I will show you how to do that in a few moments. But first, I am going to grab my magnet and move up and down until I have the magnetic particles exactly where I want them. I'm aiming to get the magnetic particles towards the center of the French tip so that when I move my hand in any direction, you can see the cool effects. And in order to get a glass-like effect, you want to move the particles so that all of them are in a group together instead of sparse and spread out on the nail. So I definitely did not stay within those black lines. They were too thin for the width of the brush. So what I'm going to do is take a flat brush and alcohol and just remove any of that gray cat eye polish off of the neutral parts of the nail. So I decided to deal with the French tips first because they literally always take the most time. So now I'm going to go in with that cat eye polish and place it on top of my ring finger. So here's what everything is looking like at this point. I'm gonna pop my hands in a lamp to cure. And if you wanted to stop, you could stop here too. There are gonna be multiple points in this look where you can stop because I'm giving you options after options. Okay, let's keep going though. At this point, I'm gonna be taking this jelly red here that's also from the Born Pretty set that I showed you earlier in the video. And I'm gonna be placing this on top of any area that has the silver cat eye polish laid down. So even though I'm using red because we are in fall, you can use whatever jelly color you have. So if you want to use a dark purple, a dark green, you do whatever color you want. Just make sure it is a jelly polish. And you'll notice here that I'm just being messy. Like I gave up trying to get it perfectly on top of that black because it was difficult to do because the brushes from the polish bottles are just intended to cover a bigger surface. So I'm going to leave it like this. Kidding, y'all know I would never. So then I'm going to be taking this brush here. It's a little wider and a little fatter to clean up the French tip lines. So there were some areas where even though I cleaned up the best I could, where that red still needed to be on top of the silver polish because I could see it peeking through. So I'm going to take my thin liner brush and dip it in that jelly red color to clean up my lines. Okay, so you could stop here. I've given you 3 options so far, but for the 4th and final option, we're going to keep going a little bit more. I'm going to be taking some red rhinestones that I unboxed in a previous video. You can check that out here. And then I'm going to be taking the McCart rhinestone glue and placing it all over the nail. And then we're going to be just taking random sizes, random shapes, and placing them on the nail sporadically. With this, it was kind of like playing Tetris. Putting the puzzle pieces together, making them fit, because at some point they did connect really well. It wasn't that hard to do. It was just down to preference, like what you feel looks best and what you feel doesn't. The rhinestone glue is thick enough so you don't have to worry about the stones sliding off the nail while you're working on it. So this was super easy to do. I do recommend though, if you're going to be using rhinestones of this size, to get you a little wax pin because they make working with stones so much faster and easier. Once I'm done, I'm going to go ahead and cure in my lamp. And finally, we're going to go in with the last layer of top coat and apply a thin layer of this and then cure for 60 seconds. And here are what the nails look like all done. So I don't know if you guys can tell just yet, but I have fell in love with cat eye polishes. They are so fun to work with. No matter how you use them, they always come out great in my opinion. Also, I want you guys to let me know. There were 4 looks technically in this video. So we have the black French tip, the black cat eye, the jelly French tip, and then we have the rhinestone. So out of those 4, I want to know which one is your favorite. So let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this tutorial, be sure to give it a thumbs up. In the meantime, I will see you in one of these videos here.